Hello and welcome to a special edition of Left Coast Live. It is Thursday, November 14th, 2024. Yep, Donald Trump's still about to be the 47th president
God.
of the United States. Stat Pat, Stateless Patriot, joining me as always. Stat Pat, what is on your mind? I have been trying to tap. Let me start a little bit here. So
Sure.
I've been
Take it
trying
away.
to trying to tap into the community, the progressive community, and I still don't see the uniform call for cleaning house at the DNC. I still am
My bad.
seeing some people be distracted by the idea of a third party. I still see people living in despair when the political reality is that the DNC is ripe for the picking right now. I mean,
Yeah.
this is when you could make your best argument that we need to clean house with respect to party leadership.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's I mean cuz a lot of them are like just really just still just grappling with the fact that
That
they
they
failed
lost.
miserably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like honestly, so I don't blame them for being, continuing to be in despair and like pointing fingers and whatnot. But they like a lot of the leadership and a lot of people who strongly believe in the DNC and the Democratic Party and whatnot, they got to start focusing on much bigger issues at hand. We got a fascist with very, very little, if any, holds on his power about to take office. We've got some good news out of the Senate that might actually work in America's favor, I guess you could say. The people that actually do believe in the Constitution holding back the authority of the executive. We also got uh, economic news that's been kind of like bubbling up in the background for a few months now, but may play to the benefit of the Democrats. And also, we got you, you know the the just abhorrent cabinet picks that Trump has been making. That's pissing a lot of MAGA off.
Yeah, I mean,
Like this is the time for messaging. This is the time to
right.
actually like get a narrative together and get like the biggest figures and you know mind leaders, for lack of a better term, just brainstorming narratives, honestly, because it's going to be a very, very rough next 4 years, and knowing how to attack MAGA, how to attack Trump is going to be important. Not to mention just knowing who the figures are on the left or on the the Democratic side, the uh, who those figures are going to be and what messages need to be conveyed and how this party is even going is going to obtain power again in the future, because like midterms should be on the forefront of the Democratic Party's mind, and knowing where like the knowing where the philosophy is going to be carried from here on out is it should be important to anyone who gives a fuck about the future, honestly.
Do you know who's they're going to shove down our throats in 2024?
Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, Prince Gavin.
God, Prince Gavin, dude, fucking next in line, because they fucking treat the whole apparatus like royalty. They treat it like, oh well, this is who it's gonna be. This is the leader. This is our champion. They treat it like it's a fucking what like the gladiators or whatever the fuck, that's not the right approach. It's like this isn't who you put forward just because the party leadership and the party apparatus and whatnot deems them to be like the uh like sacrosanct.
Yeah.
Like there should be room for uh like let the best man win or let the best woman win, but
Skills and talent, you mean?
Yeah,
skills and talent. Like that's what. Well, I was just on a call with another group of progressives. I won't
hmm
get more into it than that, but it was frustrating for multiple reasons. One is that people are still talking about third party as a viable alternative to the status quo, which is
ridiculous.
fucking ridiculous.
hmm
Get a clue. Talk about not accepting the limitations of your competitive context. And
Right.
then there was also just a lot of repetition of the same ideas of like, oh, we have the best policies. Oh, we have the best policies. And a lot of talk about what's wrong with conservatives, which I do a fair amount on my channel, why they are the
Of
way that they
course.
are. But no one's talking about the difference between the followers on the left and the leaders. What
hmm
is the prerequisite for left wing leaders from now on? And
Yeah.
I think you always want to be simple with this stuff. But, and I think the criteria number one is a passion for conflict,
Yeah.
rhetorical conflict to be specific.
Yeah.
And it starts there. So I don't care about if I agree with you on every issue. I might be down for Gavin Newsom if he weren't such a goddamn smarmy robot, who's
Yeah.
like,
No kidding.
and if he actually was elite, like that's the thing. He's not intellectually elite. He's very polished and very well coached, and
Yeah.
whatever. But he's not going to be leading us to the promised land.
No, he's not appealing enough, and that's the
He's
thing.
not a
It's like
revolutionary, and that was one of the things about this conversation that I was having was also too trying to get people on board with like this is a revolution now, and there were a few people in there that were on board with that. But ultimately, what's going to make this the moment that turns it into the wave of progressivism over neoliberalism is the progressives have to demonstrate that they are superior bully killers.
yeah.
They have to say
hmm
we are better at rhetorical conflict than the neoliberal corporate centrists.
Yes, that is like point blank period. That should be like a primary focus because Rhe- rhetorical skills, they go a long way. I
Hmm.
don't believe Gavin Newsom is a fighter. I don't believe he's in tune or in touch with a whole lot of
You think
the
that
working
guy would take a bullet? You think that
people.
guy would stick his
Yeah,
head out? Like, you think, I mean, Teddy Roosevelt gave a
no,
speech after he'd been shot. You think
uh
Gavin Newsom's that kind of guy?
Mm-mm.
You know?
No, he's an opportunist. Honestly,
He's
and
also comes
that's
from privilege. He comes
that's
from a different form of
yes,
privilege,
yes,
so
and
it's weird.
we don't need that leading the party. Like, have we not fucking learned our lessons? Like to begin with, it's like you put forward people of privilege, like fucking Michael Bloomberg, one of the top contenders of the 2020 primary, fucking Hillary Clinton, uh, uh, co-head of the Clinton Foundation, more or less, like wife of one of the ex-presidents, just complete like total elite status. It's not appealing, and not to mention like the rhetorical skills are lacking. Like it doesn't matter how smart you are or how good of a leader you think you are. If you don't fucking convince people that you're actually going to fight and that you actually have a spine and are willing to get down in the dirt with people, then what's the point of even running? Why even bother being the head of the ticket? You know?
I think you gotta have, we've talked about it in separate pieces, but the willingness to say shit that might get you killed
Yeah.
because MAGA trash has got a lot of guns.
I
Um,
mean, not even like the threat of MAGA, but like the fucking billionaire class,
mhm.
like you like putting forth a narrative that they would feel threatened by.
Mhm.
I mean, look at JFK talking about secret societies and
There's a
whatnot.
way to actually rope in. I've got to do the episode on it so that I own the idea. Um, but there's a way to actually get billionaires on the side of progressive change.
Yeah.
And yeah, there is. And it has to do with the way that they manage their wealth and
hmm
how they use their children to protect their wealth. And it's a little bit more complicated than that.
hmm
But there's a way, if you gave them the opportunity to transfer wealth to their kids and get a tax credit, and then that would benefit, say, a poor family or whatnot, or impoverished family, or maybe a million impoverished families, whatever.
Hmm.
There's a way to do that, but I'm not going to get into it any more than that, except to say that if we get creative, we actually have a chance. That's the one thing the left hasn't done. Everyone's like, "What's the answer? What's the answer?"
Hmm.
I go concepts, and the concept that we have, it's the question that delivers the concept is, what do we have as lefties that the right doesn't? Okay, the right's got the guns. What does the left have? Well, we got the bookworms. Well, that's not as
Yeah.
useful. That's not as
People are well
useful,
read. Yeah.
right? What else do we have, though, in an even more fundamental sense of personality types? Because that's one thing that millennials do understand, is that personality types do inform your political views.
Yeah.
If you're a super competitive person, you're much more likely to be conservative, because it's difficult for you to relate to people that aren't competitive. Competitive people, especially in America, their competition is their identity.
Yeah. Yeah. What a lot of the left really does have to learn is like it being smart isn't everything. Being knowledgeable about the issues isn't everything. Being more informed than the average American
No,
isn't
that's the
isn't
difference
everything.
between
It's like,
being, and we talked about this. That's the difference between being the candidate and being someone that works for the candidate,
yeah.
is do you have the balls to take a bullet? Like, simplify it down, man. Don't, like, everything you're saying is right about, like, you have to have these views and be able to spit it out like data, and have data at your fingertips, and know the facts and know the sources. All that shit is really important. But what's going to separate you as a political candidate is metaphorical balls,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Female version, ovaries. Like, it's it's about putting your guts out there and saying, I'm willing to die for this message because I know I'm right. And if I
Yes.
do die, if they do cap me, my message is actually going to only become more powerful. It's
That is
fucking
so.
dark.
Yeah.
It's
It
fucking
is.
dark,
It
but it's
is. Yeah.
so true. MLK
Yeah.
taught us the way, man. I mean, we've talked about it. Who matters more in American history, MLK or the Kennedy brothers, because they all got assassinated? And
Yeah.
obviously, it's MLK.
Yeah. John
And it's
Lennon.
well, I mean, yeah, but MLK died for a message, like John
Well,
Lennon
well,
died
I
as some.
yeah, yeah. But just like just the philosophy is consistent. You know, um, it's parallel. I guess you could say.
Sure.
I mean, like like I mentioned before, John F. Kennedy, like um, this consistent narrative about where power truly lies and who pulls the strings, and just it's like I've talked about the past few streams. The Democrats are never going to allow like a true firebrand progressive that challenges capital to be the head of the ticket. So what the progressives need to do, what anybody going after the Democratic ticket, running as the candidate for president should do, is cloak it in a way to where you come off as the moderate, you come off as the centrist,
Right.
populism. Like the American people are behind me. This message is what lands. Like these ideas, these policies and whatnot are popular. This is what America actually needs, and you know. They can only go as far as the DNC lets them. If if they actually do miraculously, you know, they win so overwhelmingly that not even the DNC can stop them from becoming their nominee for president. Like you mentioned before, if they do get capped, it only makes the message
Right. The idea
more
is that,
profound.
like, this is actually where the race idea is, the foot race idea metaphor
Hmm.
works, where you're running a relay race, but in this relay race, the person who's carrying the baton carries the baton either until they get capped, in which case the person behind them picks it up and then they start carrying it,
Hmm.
or they win the presidency and retire, which is, the less likely scenario.
Right.
There
Yeah.
are going to be casualties. there are gonna be casualties, and this is where the soft left. I mean, I don't know. I was on this progressive call earlier, and it's just like I don't like. You need to start familiarizing yourself with the concept of toughness
Yeah.
and taking power as opposed to waiting your turn.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I think we really need. People talk about Sean Fain and people who already have voice or name recognition, and I
Hmm.
think it seems to me like that's. I don't think we need name recognition. I think we need skills and talent. And Bernie could maybe step up here and start to promote some more people, but we just had an
Yeah.
election. It's like it's going to be a while before
Right.
we do that. But I tell you what, people are pissed off at the Democratic Party, and it's time to clean house. Like, and if I have a feeling though that they're not going to, and I think they're going to stay the same and shove Gavin Newsom down our throats. And then when we get President J.D. Vance, God help us, then maybe we'll have an opportunity for a firebrand. But there's no question about it. We need someone to punch the bully in the face. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that. I don't know. I mean, you and I both recognize the importance of authentic rhetorical conflict, but I
Yeah.
don't know if a lot of lefties do. I think lefties want to play
Right.
nice and like don't want to deal with the conflict. And
Yeah.
my point is that you don't need to give it to our political leaders. It's
Hmm.
like it's a weird thing that actually kind of comes from Christianity, where you put your sin, you put your hate, your anger, your rage, all your negative feelings onto Jesus, and He carries them for you.
Hmm.
Well, put them on to the political leaders.
Yeah.
If you're a political leader asking for this, it's like you should be doing this in your speeches. You should be saying, think about what it was like to lose in 2016. Then think about how much worse it was in 2024. Now take all that anger and put it on me, because
Yeah.
I'm going to use it as fuel to beat back these MAGA trash bullies.
Correct. Yeah. Completely agree. I mean, it really does come down. And take a look at the Justice Democrats. The candidates that got through and then ended up running for House and ended up winning. True firebrands, committed, principled, rhetorically sufficient. More of that. Honestly, like I haven't given up on just like the idea of bold progressives or social democrats taking power within the Democratic Party and dragging it to the left, because that's going to be what's needed. But what's also going to be needed is, I guess, economic literacy as well, because
Mm. Oh, so
for
the two big things that I think are going to be the most dramatic on our society.
hmm
One is mass deportations. It sounds like that's going to happen pretty soon after he gets elected.
hmm
And the second is tariffs on imported goods. If he
yeah,
actually does that, then my God,
right.
the prices of things, like you're going to see looting.
Yeah, it's like you think crime was bad before. You think all this shit about all these all this propaganda about crime in general and how it's just crazy and out of control. It's just like a political talking point to gain votes and shit. There's not really that much data to actually go behind it. Just like the same thing with migrant crime and whatnot. It's going to get so much worse when the economy takes a shit and then is made entirely worse by the fact that you're deporting a large chunk of the workforce
Right.
and putting tariffs on goods imported from China or wherever the fuck,
Yep.
where inflation is going to skyrocket again, and it's not going to be pretty.
No,
Like
it's going to be horrible.
a recession is pretty much imminent at this point.
Right.
Regardless of who was able to win, but the fact that Trump won means that we're probably going to get maybe a depression, depending on how the first signs are handled.
Well, maybe it's what we need to learn our lesson. Like an alcoholic hitting rock bottom, you got to go through the seventh circle of hell before you
Right.
transcend that powerlessness, man. It's like I mean, it's like, what's the rehab, right? Who's going to be the accountability partner is the question. Who's going to be the real voice on the left that emerges that is the right kind of pissed off? And
Yeah.
I just don't see anybody. That's my depression is
Hmm.
I don't see anybody. I mean, AOC, like, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
It's gonna be some time for sure. I mean, I on one hand, I do want to say that we have a lot of time for these, like, for anybody to start making a name for themselves and make their star rise. But at the same time, it's like
Well, I mean, I know you
Trump
talk
takes
about
office
Jon
in two
Stewart,
months.
but I don't
Well,
think that's the answer. I mean, I just don't, you know, I don't
I
know if I buy into this whole celebrity angle that Kulinski's talking about, where like it needs to be an established celebrity. I
well,
don't know about if that's true.
it does come down to vibes, though. Like I mean, like
Yes. Well,
these
it
people,
starts with
these.
vibes. It doesn't end with vibes. For
No,
the
of
left, it can
course,
end with policy. The vibes
yeah.
are there to service attention towards the policy.
Like there are definitely people in this country, migrants, people who like obtained citizenship, came here illegally, but eventually did become citizens, or people who are just straight up undocumented that were like advocating for Trump, or people that are here legally that have undocumented family members that went for Trump anyway. They truly believe that Trump is only going to deport the bad ones.
Right.
It's just so
I
misguided
know.
because
They have the faith in the system. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're not going to discriminate. Like they think all illegal immigrants, undocumented immigrants, and whatnot are criminals by
Yes.
definition.
Yes.
Like they don't understand, and it's a tragic thing. But
Well, I said it on the live stream. Oh,
it
God.
comes down to it comes down to vibes because they a lot of the Latino vote voted for Trump because of the economy. Like immigration was like third hand, fourth hand.
Right.
Not as much of not as much as a concern to these communities. They're in for a rude awakening. I mean, that's all it comes down to.
Yeah, they're gonna see
And
some
when they,
shit. They're gonna see
yeah,
some shit. Their
no,
fellow brown people getting dragged from their homes.
of course. I mean, I
It
never
might
thought.
unite. It might unite the immigrant vote in a new way because obviously it's very fractionalized right now.
Yeah, it's like like if Democrats take power again in 4 years somehow, because of just how bad the next 4 years are going to be. Like, will they learn their lesson 4 years after that? Will they
Mhm.
remember how bad Trump was? Because a lot of people didn't remember how bad he was the first term. It's like, fucking. Um, but yeah, no, like it does always come back down to vibes. Honestly, like if they're convinced that you know Trump can lower the cost of goods, even though he's not, they'll fucking vote for it. Like, because it
Mhm.
really is that surface level. When it comes to celebrities, I, I think it really just does come down to who can convey a narrative that lands. And I mean, you mentioned Jon Stewart, and the reason why I believe in him so much is because he's been able to do that successfully
Right.
for a couple
So
decades
long,
now.
long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's been around
yeah,
for a long time.
yeah, and
No, he fits
I'm
the
so
bill. I
delighted with
just
that
don't.
too.
He fits the bill. I just again, it
Like
comes down
because
to
people
like,
already people already know who he is, and
right.
he's got an established like name, and it's like wow, what can he do?
Might be
Can they
worth a try. It
give him
might
a
be worth a
chance?
try.
Yeah, because it really is that surface level in a lot of aspects. Of course, looking at it from like a progressive perspective, us like political junkies and whatnot, we've seen what he's done. The stuff that he's done for veterans, the stuff that he's done for the 9/11 survivors, for
Hmm.
firefighters,
Right.
for the homeless, like
Sure.
neglected,
He's got an
the
incredible
people
track
who.
record. Yeah.
Yeah, people who've had their benefits stripped away. Yeah, it's something that can definitely be championed if he were to give it a try. But he's already said like, and that's the thing too. He's got to want it, and nobody wants to be fucking president. Like like it's like we talked about before in a couple other recent streams. You'd have to be pretty fucking insane to go
Yeah. You
after
got
a
to be
job like
insane to
that.
be want to be president.
Yeah, yeah, just be in
I
charge of
think
so
also too,
much.
someone with a family, it's gonna make it less likely for them to
Yeah,
do this
yeah,
because they feel like they're
leverage,
potentially ruining
liability.
their
Yeah.
kids' lives too. Like,
Hmm.
and so I think someone with no kids might be a good idea, and then that way there's no nepotism
I mean,
either.
there was Kamala,
Right?
but it didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember people for a long time were thinking if Hillary got elected, then you know that Chelsea would have ran at some point, but obviously that's not going to happen.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Everybody was
I
shooting
think
for Michelle Obama, and she was like, "Hell no, I'm not."
well, another that was another red flag for Michael Moore when he said that Michelle Obama should run for president. It's like, come on, dude. He like
Such
goes
a bad
back and
thing to
forth
do.
between being a profound intellectual to being a fucking cartoon character of an
Yeah.
intellectual. And he did it again. Right now, he's on the cartoon character side with his prediction that Trump would lose and Kamala would definitely win because women are going to come out in this vote.
Yeah.
And he's just wrong. He's fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And he's just past his prime. Like, I think
He really is.
there's a lot of addition by subtraction that needs to take place on the left, and Cenk Uygur needs to find, and even though she's my generation, Anna Kasparian's got to go. I mean, the Young Turks need to be
Right.
supplanted by I mean, this interesting network, the Midas Touch, seems somewhat interesting.
Yeah. They do really, really good work.
But it's a lot of like just anti-Trump stuff as
Yeah.
opposed to anti-MAGA and deconstructing the ideology that got
Yeah.
us here and that started with Nixon, went on to Reagan, and then gradually devolved over time, and understanding why it came about and why it mutated into what it is today.
Do you
So
ever
that's what. Go
do
ahead.
you ever watch Do you ever watch Good Morning Bad News?
No.
I believe that's something that's championed by the guy from the Damage Report, John Iadrola. I believe that's one of his projects, and
Okay.
is a great. They make reels, they make little shorts, just going over big events and why it matters, and why what can be done about it, this and that. What like just the finer details and machinations behind it, and it's done in such a great way, like greatly edited, and it comes off as like succinct, profound, and engaging. Something like that. I think you would definitely enjoy as well.
All right. Yeah, I just marked it. Good morning, bad news. Just took a look
Yeah,
at it. Yeah, I got.
yeah,
I'm subscribed now.
oh yeah, yeah. They've put out a couple videos recently about why Kamala Harris won and how kind of fucked everything is because of why she lost, and why it's so bad that Trump won, and what the fact that he can serve until after the midterms, step down, give JD Vance the presidency, and then JD Vance just has to win two more times, and then that's like 10
Yeah,
years of
10
being
year.
president. Yeah, really, really good good shit. Honestly, really informative. But yeah, dude, like I really hope that like I would love to get in touch with a lot of like the bigger lefties and whatnot. Like, I mean, Majority Report, like they open their phone lines in the morning in like the second half of their show and whatnot. I would love to actually like call in at some point and talk to them. Just whoever I can actually like engage with and just convey the messages that we convey on this show. Get a lot more people into these ideas and.
Well, we should come up with like a 5 points or
Mhm.
something.
Oh
Like
yeah.
we come up with one already, which is
Mhm.
that our leaders, our next generation of leaders, should be passionate about rhetorical conflict.
Yes.
The left citizen and the left voter does not like conflict, but the left leader does.
Hmm.
Okay? So that's
Yeah.
like number one. And then I think number two is probably a willingness to be completely honest, which might mean saying things that would get you killed by a MAGA vigilante.
Yeah. Or a fucking
or
assassin
an
hired by.
establishment. Yeah, yeah, by Pelosi.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's just like, oh, well, you saw what happened to that Boeing whistleblower, didn't you? It's just like fucking who cares? Like that
right.
they're doing what needs to be fucking done. Like don't let that fucking perturb you. Someone who like is willing to make a big like change the world and not be afraid of the circumstances, the consequences, because you believe in the future of America and you believe in a bold, progressive, transformative message, and you're not going to let intimidation slow you down.
Right.
Like, don't like. Who gives a fuck if you're hated? Who gives a fuck if like the more traction you gain, even if it's negative, if more people are paying attention to you, that gets more people paying attention to you.
Right.
So like they get to actually listen to what you're saying and what you're conveying, what you're trying to deliver. Like that
Well,
was, it
so
was the
the
same thing with AOC and Bernie, like all this negative press coverage and whatnot when their star was rising and whatnot, when AOC won, when Bernie Sanders was running in the primary, it got a lot more people engaged and listening to them. It's like, oh wow, she's actually these people are actually pretty fucking awesome, no matter what the propaganda says. Like you actually listen to what they're saying, and like if the DNC can fucking learn anything, that's exactly how Trump got elected, because of all the negative coverage. Like it's like what the saying goes: any press is good press, like bad press. It doesn't matter because you're
yeah,
getting attention. You're getting
right.
people interested in what you're actually saying, and like you're getting the attention that you wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think in addition to the coping mechanism of like raw team, where if I get capped, well, it's because I'm doing my part.
Hmm.
There's also the rationale of if you do win election and you do get into a position of power, it's going to be really hard. Governing is completely different from campaigning.
Yeah.
So
Oh, big time.
the attitude to have if you're a candidate that fits our criteria and you're willing to die for the cause is, well, if they cap me, I'll get off easy and I won't have to do all the work. Somebody else will have to do it.
Yeah. No kidding. Right. Yeah. Yeah. No. It's
All right, so we got two criteria. We got to come up with three more. We got passion for conflict and willingness to die for the cause. So we got to come up with three more. We don't have to
yeah.
do it now, but I'm saying like it would be good
Of
if we could
course.
put it on hands, like put it on a 5 points
Yeah.
on a hand.
Make them either uh fucking
Could even be three. It could be a trichotomy.
yeah, exactly. Either requirements, something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe we'll find it. We'll find the right slogan for it.
o-
But
of
think
course.
think
Yeah.
more about it. There's nothing that comes to that level. They're going to be minor things because those are the two big ones.
Yeah.
Um,
Of course, like only accepting small dollar donations, not selling out
mm,
to big money. Um, I mean,
yep.
that's kind of a given, and this is something I've like ping ponged in my fucking little skull back and forth for fucking a long time now. It's like just the corruption of everything and selling out to money and whatnot, and doing their bidding once you gain power, because like you're giving all this money, so they expect something in return, right? It's like, can
Well,
that
there are
be?
already nominees. There are already nominees out there for governor and lieutenant governor in California, and many of them have already gotten endorsements and PAC money. I
Of
mean, and
course,
this
of
this election
course.
just ended. They're 2 years ahead of
Yeah,
election day.
yeah,
They were more than 2 years ahead of election day. And
yeah,
I talked to this Carter administration guy, pretty plugged into the party, and he's so preoccupied with the money too.
yeah.
And it's because he's been in the system for so long and he
No, of
realizes that you
course,
really can't get elected without the money.
exactly. Yeah, it's like,
And that's why the rhetoric of revolution is required.
yeah, yeah. Ending Citizens United,
Yeah.
reforming the
And by the way, whoever the next
FEC.
president is going to get into office, we're going to impeach every Trump judge that he appointed.
Yeah.
Like, this is advocacy of eradicating a MAGA from our lives.
Yeah.
This is extinguishing the flame of white trash ignorance. Like, people can talk all they want about proposals. Again, you have to believe that the candidate is going to deliver. And in that, in a microeconomic way, you have to believe that this person, and you see this in sports a lot, you see like a guy like Richard Sherman, or I mean, I talk about Tom Brady a lot. Don't you see them and hear them talk about their craft and understand that they obsess over their craft? That they wake up thinking about how to become a better football player today, how to become a better competitor today.
Hmm.
And that's the kind of predisposition that we
Right.
need. So I was more thinking about personality qualities like passion for conflict and
Hmm.
conflict and what did I just say? The other C word. Passion for conflict and I don't know. Willing to die for the cause. No corporate
Yeah.
financial backing. Um,
Yeah. Because going back to that, it's like
yeah.
what I've always been curious about what would happen if you sell out in your primary in your campaign and you take big money and you get into office and you just do nothing for them. Like
Right.
like where is that go? How would that play out? Like what kind of leverage would you need held over you for you not to deliver for your donors? Um, like it is this, it has to be something more than money, right? You know,
Right.
it's like what exactly could that be? How exactly would the process play out? How exactly would that work? What exactly does it look like? What exactly is said? It really it's quid pro quo, you know. So it's like I don't know it because ultimately like the way that the system is structured right now, obviously money is what wins elections. Not every time, not all the time. Obviously, this last election kind of showed it, but what if it looks like you sell out but you don't deliver for them anyway, like the opposite of a John Fetterman, someone who like runs a
Right.
really progressive campaign, gets into office and just becomes a fucking APAC whore, you know.
An APAC whore. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what happened, like he
Yeah.
like progressives were really excited for this guy. He was like running a Bernie Sanders style campaign for Senate,
Yeah.
and gets in there and just does a complete 180 and just like becomes a fucking corporate goon, a centrist fucking like conservative sellout for APAC, and
People
just
just like him because he looks like a fucking jolly
just a
troll,
normal guy.
and
Yeah, just a normal guy.
like
Yeah,
doesn't wear a suit and tie. And I'm like, now I've lost respect for that. By the way,
yeah,
it, I think it's important to look presentable. Um,
yeah.
and I don't think he's. I mean, he had that fucking stroke, so he's
Yeah,
trained
and
as an opera. I mean, like
he
he
actually
definitely he like took a hit mentally for sure. Like
no,
he's not
yeah,
as sharp as he used to be.
and
He was
he
never
like
even that sharp to begin with.
thanks for joining, Megan. Love you bunches. I'm so happy you're here as always. Uh, he like more or less admitted on Bill Maher that the stroke kind of contributed to his shift in ideology, shifting from a
Hmm.
progressive like during his campaign to like him becoming a senator and like him being a senator right now and more or less becoming like more like of a conservative Democrat. And like
Yeah.
it says a lot. It's just like god damn, dude. It's like if the stroke affected your mental capacity that much,
Hold on, you're underwater.
your
You're
ability.
underwater.
Oh,
There you go.
good.
You're good.
Like if
Yep.
the stroke affected like your cognitive abilities to that extent, it's like no wonder you're holding like conservative ideals. I mean, this isn't the case for everybody. A lot of people look at like a conservative, like in an economic sense and whatnot, and they feel like it, they feel like they're more fiscally responsible, which is like I mean, I guess there's maybe an argument to be made there in some aspects, but
Hmm.
like there are studies done that if you're a conservative or you vote conservative or more likely to vote conservative or be conservative, uh, you are not as how do I put this gently? You're not as bright, basically.
Yeah, you're not as
You're
empathetic, and
yeah,
you don't think about how other people's needs. You just think about your needs. You're constantly in
yes.
survival mode.
Yeah, no, I actually really want to read this post that kind of like basically like perfectly explains what made me go from flirting with the right a little bit when Trump won and being like more of like a center right kind of guy to realizing like this is all just a sham, and then I eventually became a progressive, then a socialist over the course of a couple of years. This is from a Facebook page called Boomer Patrol, and I just want to read this whole thing
Sure,
because it kind of
go
really
ahead.
does it speaks to um, my awakening, so to speak,
Sure.
and it
Right,
maybe
love
like
it.
finally understand exactly. So the post goes as follows. Just to be clear, I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that the main pillar of conservative thought is hurting others.
Yeah.
That's not any exaggeration and it's not poetic license. It's literally true. When I was younger, I was particularly suggestible, like most kids are, and would often take my elders and my community's thoughts and opinions to heart and adopt them as my own if they sounded intuitive.
Right.
However, at times I would come to a blatant contradiction between two strongly held views. And whenever I asked about how they reconcile those views, I was dismissed outright or told some cope like, you'll understand when you're older. I would think about contradictions like that all the time for years, and every now and then, when I heard some new information that put something else I'd heard before in a different light, I would find myself ruminating on those questions again until I got older. Eventually, I started encountering these trigger the lib types, trigger the libs, although that wasn't yet a common phrase. They would outright admit that, well, maybe that is or isn't true, but even if it's not, I hate those guys enough that I don't care.
Right.
Anything that makes them mad is good enough for me. And while I had a somewhat cynical view of humanity from my experiences with my community growing up, I hadn't considered the possibility that they could be this malicious. But once the possibility had been raised, I found it difficult to ignore. All of a sudden, previously irreconcilable contradictions began to make sense. Things started falling into place. And as time went on and this trend established itself in a more blatant and observable way, I became more and more certain that this is indeed the single most powerful explanation of conservative thought, rising above all other principles of hard work and personal responsibility and even God and Jesus. All you need to understand about conservative is fuck that guy. Everything else is just elaboration.
Yep.
And I this th- that's that couldn't more perfectly explain my
Yeah. We live in a fuck you
yeah,
society, and the
yes.
Republicans are
As
better at saying fuck you than the Democrats.
yeah, it's like as long as I get mine, fuck everybody
Yep.
else.
I
It's
get,
like
and then
it's
once you get yours, you're like you're not worried about it.
yeah, it's like
Sociopathy.
it is. It's just an absence of empathy. Like it kind of inspired me to start writing a fucking song because a lot of my lyrics for my music projects are inspired by shit like this. It's like
Uh huh.
cross the bridge, burn it down behind you.
Right.
Top,
Yeah.
make it to the top of the ladder, kick it out from under you. It's a world of opportunistic goons. Throw your brothers under the bus. That's driven by the few.
Mm-hmm.
Tie up your laces. Step upon faces after faces. It's just, it's the fucking. I think it was a George Orwell quote, like the future of humanity. Like if you want to envision the future of humanity, just imagine a boot stepping on a face for the rest of time. Like I'm paraphrasing, but that's the gist of it. It's fucking reality. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's frustrating to be on these calls with progressives. I'm going
Hmm.
on another one next week. I'm interested to see how that goes because I requested to have a meeting with the woman that runs those calls,
Oh yeah.
and I haven't heard anything.
Hmm.
And I'm going to get pretty loud in the chat during the call of just like, hey, if you guys want to know how to change the culture of this party, let's talk because you baby boomer liberals and now you Gen X liberals, because you Gen X liberals had a lot of influence on this election. You Gen X liberals were working
Yeah.
for all those baby boomer candidates,
Yeah.
and you got smoked. So the leapfrog, one of the big themes that we're going to be talking about a lot, I know, is leapfrogging the Gen Xers
Yeah.
and empowering millennials because we're just the most empathetic generation. I really think it has something to do with 9/11. I think it has something to do with missing out on the tech boom financially. But I think we are
Yes.
more empathetic than most. Yeah, because we came into the workforce after the tech boom really blew up.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Like we were all teenagers or young adults when everything like smartphones were a thing, and you became more into like connected to the world. Like everybody all of a sudden has a computer in their pocket. Like the like access to any information at any time is at your fingertips and whatnot. And like that, it's just been squandered. You
Right.
know, it's like I remember back in the day when I was really young. I remember seeing just like local news stories like this woman is addicted to Facebook, and they just like do a little interview about her, and she just talks about her, addiction and whatnot, and it's just like that's everybody now. Everybody's addicted to social media and whatnot. Um,
And that's why you need a
y-
personality that can transcend social media.
yes, I completely agree.
Someone who's, like I say about the East Coast or about really the presidency, is are you working the corridor or is the corridor working you? And I would say about any political candidate, are you working the media or is the media working you?
Yeah,
That guy Jola, the soft ass dude who's like never won anything other than an argument, wasn't wrong when he said that people pay attention to what's on their phones. They don't really pay attention to the knocked doors. And it's just the practicality of you can't reach that many people quickly enough. And
yeah,
so it's someone that can master the art of communication in such a way that they hit all three of Aristotle's major three forms of communication, which is pathos, emotion, logos, logic, and ethos, ethics, which is the embodiment of, that's the part that we're emphasizing, which is willingness to die for the cause. That's the ethical
yeah,
value. Like King
yeah,
had an amazing delivery and had amazing arguments and all these things, but what really makes them last forever is his ethics,
yeah,
his ethos, and his
yeah,
ethos was someone that was willing to die for his cause, and I think there's a lot to be learned there.
yeah.
So
And
go ahead.
what's crucial is speaking to young people. Ultimately,
Yeah.
like millennials are like the I think the biggest voting bloc at this point now, if I'm not mistaken. They're definitely they make up the overwhelming majority of the workforce for sure.
Right.
Being able to speak to them is just crucial for any leaders to
Well,
arise
talk
out of the
about getting
Democratic Party.
fucked. Talk about getting fucked over. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
anybody younger, anybody born in 1980 or later has
hmm
absolutely gotten fucked by
yeah,
the American economy.
yeah,
And, if Trump has taught us anything, it's what we're harping on, which is the politics of grievance.
hmm
I mean, it's almost like what I talk about with the connotation of the word blame, where people hear blame and they're like, oh, that's automatically negative, that's automatically dismissible. And it's like, no,
no,
sometimes well placed blame is just nothing more than problem identification. Well, we have the opportunity to blame the baby boomer conservatives. Because guess what? this MAGA culture is going to live on.
Yeah, and they throw blame fucking everywhere every single day. It doesn't even matter if it is based in reality or not. Like it lands because they're doing so. It's
Right.
fucking gross. It's toxic. It's not. It's negative personality traits and whatnot. But that fucking doesn't matter at this point.
Really answer the first question Americans want the answer to when thinking about who to vote for is, who do I blame for my shitty life?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
No.
so fucking sad, but that's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking. It's so ridiculous. Like I've seen memes that uh are basically mocking Trump voters for voting to cut costs for
Yeah.
groceries and gas, and it's just like, you dense motherfucker, that's not going to happen. Like, holy shit, you're fucking stupid. um, but yeah, or when it comes to leaders arising on the left in the Democratic Party and whatnot, being able to speak to young people, anybody under 40, it does require being in touch. Like
Yeah.
it really does, and it's like some of my favorite memes are centered towards millennials. It's like born too late to own property, born too soon to become a TikTok star, born just in time for niche millennial thing, like fucking late 2000s, early 2010s thingamajig, you know. Um, and it just it speaks a lot to just being in between a couple generations that really
As
are
they could for themselves.
yeah, it's like it, there's a lot, especially our younger generation, there's a lot that we haven't been taught properly, like, and I guess a lot of that has to do with our public education system as well, but not being able to afford college, not knowing, how taxes work, not knowing about how inflation works or stock trading or
Right. Yeah.
investing and
That
shit
basic
like that.
teaching. Well, I mean, let's
Yeah.
face it, the baby boomers, instead of doing the parenting, they stuck their kids in front of the TV.
Oh yeah,
Let's face it.
and what do
That's
we
what
do?
happened.
Yeah, and what
ADHD is as prevalent as it is, I'm convinced, because baby boomers put their kids in front of the TV.
more so nowadays, fucking parents my age and whatnot, just shoving their toddler in
Yeah,
front
oh,
of
the
the
most
fucking
the
iPad
when
for
you go out to
hours.
restaurants now, when you go out
Yeah,
to restaurants and you see the kids with the big headphone
yeah.
ears, and they're
Hmm.
watching the movie on the
An
iPad
iPad.
so the
Yeah.
parents can have a conversation. I'm just like, oh, that can't be
Yeah.
good for child
No,
development.
it's not at all. It really is bad. And then like when they don't have it, they're fucking screaming and just like stomping and like having a fucking
Right.
tantrum because like they don't their attention span is just like irreversibly
And they
fucked.
haven't been taught how to communicate.
No, of course, and that's a whole
So it's
other
not their
thing too.
fault.
I can go on for days and days, honestly, about just parenting in general, especially nowadays. But yeah, these it really sucks that we do have to count on parents just to be the right kind of parent for the child. Otherwise, there's just like just dismally unprepared for the future and whatnot. It's just like
Hmm. Hmm.
how do you even reach people have had that have faced such failure from their parents to begin with? It boggles the mind. It's a lot to think about, but
I think you got to entertain them first. You can't influence anybody until
sure,
you have their attention, and you need to. And
regardless.
that's why maybe Jon Stewart is a good call, because he can
Mhm.
entertain and he can get your attention
Yes,
with comedy and stuff.
regardless of who
And
you are or where you come from, like reaching you where you are, where you come from, communicating with you on a level that you know resonates with you, that you understand, that like keeps your attention, keeps you focused. That can go a long way because like either way, like you have to adapt to where someone is in order to convey the message that you want to deliver to them, and that takes time, of course, obviously. And a lot of people are like everybody's fucking built different. It really is about understanding who and what someone is, where they come from, what drives them, what they're afraid of, and how to communicate with them properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
Matt Gates is nominated for the Attorney General.
yeah, we should go through the nominations. Matt Gaetz as Attorney General, though it sounds like he might not get through. He might be the most
Yeah.
problematic nominee.
Yes.
Tulsi Gabbard for National Security Advisor, which is
God.
not approved by Senate, so that's just a natural appointment. She's such a
Um.
bitch. I
Yeah.
can't. What a
Yeah.
fucking bitch.
Like,
Um,
yeah. Total
and
fucking
then
sellout.
um, Huckabee
Awful.
for Ambassador to Israel.
Yeah. Fucking. They're
The
going to
Homan
annex. They're
guy.
going to fucking annex the West Bank. How fucking vile is that shit? And of course, the Biden administration is not going to do a goddamn motherfucking thing about it.
Right.
They got two more months left in office, and it's like, what the fuck do they care? God, that's something I'm gonna get too pissed off about. But yeah, no, Jeffrey Epstein's best friend just nominated a pedophile under investigation for sex crimes and human trafficking for attorney general. Like he's not even fucking qualified at all, and like I'm so grateful that Republicans are coming out and like they're fucking threatening uh, a lot of shit to be released about Matt Gates actually, and I am all here for it. Oh, here we go. He's Matt Gates has had a wild ride in the last 8 hours. This is from WBHG News. Um, where'd it go? Uh-oh. Where the hell did it
Yeah,
go?
Peter
Uh,
Hegseth and Matt Gaetz are the two most controversial picks. Kristi
yeah,
Noem for Homeland Security is ridiculous.
dog killer. Well, yeah, she's so stupid, dude.
She is so dumb.
Yeah,
She is
unbelievable.
such an idiot.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding.
The Tulsi Gabbard is DNI. What's DNI again? Department of what?
Oh God, I
Director of National Intelligence.
Director of National Intelligence. That's it. Yeah,
Jesus
that.
Christ.
Yeah. Okay. I guess it just fucking disappeared. I guess the
What is it
Oh,
called?
here it is. Okay.
Okay.
Nominated. So Matt Gaetz was nominated for Attorney General by Trump, and two senators have publicly said that they won't confirm, and it takes four senators to say they won't confirm. Like at this point, because of the makeup of the Senate, or what will be the makeup of the Senate, he can't be recess confirmed because he isn't a DOJ employee. The House Ethics Committee planned to release a damaging report tomorrow, and Gates he submitted his resignation from Congress effective immediately to Speaker Mike Johnson, and Johnson says he was shocked by the move. And
Yeah.
and now the House has 217 confirmed seats for 119 the 119th Congress, and Matt Gates' resignation puts control of the House back in play. And
Right.
and apparently that's the case for a few other of Trump's appointments as well. Like he's taking from the House, and they need the House. So,
I know.
uh,
And they have special
um,
elections for the House. They don't have.
yeah, it's gonna come down to
They don't have
special
appointments from
elections.
the appointments from the governor like Senate
Yeah.
does. Our
Yep.
government is so flawed in that way.
Oh
Like,
God, no kidding, dude.
and the fact that we haven't
Um,
updated our election system so it's shorter is just
yeah,
ridiculous. It's a
yeah.
waste of time. We can only govern for 18 months when you're president.
Basically.
These deputy chiefs of staff are just oh my
Hmm.
god. Taylor
Horrendous.
Glavich, Stephen Miller is fucking evil.
Yeah,
He is
yeah.
evil.
And Russia's really going to have a huge say in the White House and how government is ran, at least from the executive branch. That's fucking undeniable at this point, honestly. Um, yeah, I think India might have a big say as well because I mean Tulsi Gabbard, um, pretty much a Hindu nationalist, definitely plays into uh, the beliefs of the government. They're making everything about fucking radical Islamic terrorism and shit. It's just like, go fuck yourself. That's one of the biggest things that like made me realize the right was full of shit because of just how much of a non-issue it is
Right.
generally.
Right.
It's like, for fuck's sake, dude. And of course, the insistence of putting the Ten Commandments in every school and bringing back school prayer and
School prayer.
whatnot. And it's just like, okay, are you going to do that for Islam? Are you going to do that for Judaism?
Those are intellectual arguments.
No, of course. Like, I mean, 'cause what do the founders say? Like, no state religion. And it's like if you're going to mandate that in public schools and shit, you gotta allow fucking satanic fucking passages to be read as
Yeah, I
well.
don't have any,
No,
but I don't have any faith in the system anymore. So I'm sure it's going to happen, at
right?
least in some states.
Yeah, just like be consistent, you fucking Christian nationalist goons.
Confederate Christian nationalists.
Hmm.
Confederate. We're bringing back the word Confederate because that's what this is.
Yeah, it really
This is
is.
the new Confederacy.
Yeah,
Okay?
sure.
This is
Yeah,
not the United States of America. Right
yeah,
now, it's the Confederate States of America.
yeah.
And
The
we got to
fourth.
start understanding what we're in right now. People like,
Hmm.
we read about these kinds of things in our history books. History is defined by moments like these. So it's important to understand. Like, do you think Abe Lincoln didn't understand that the future of American democracy was in his hands? Do you think he didn't wake up every single day of his Civil War life thinking about ways to defeat the enemy?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, grab your balls and put your life on the line or shut up and
Hmm.
get out of the way and get behind someone that is willing to do that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot that like not only founders but Abe Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, even FDR did not account for when it comes to our modern political makeup. Um,
Right?
the new Confederacy is just spot on, like because these people under Donald Trump's Fourth Reich, you might as well fucking call it that at this point with who he has appointed so far and who he surrounds himself with. It there's so many parallels to be drawn that people are just too afraid to or just fucking just dismiss or just brush off and whatnot that are more accurate than I think people are even willing to admit. Like the comparisons to fascist regimes in the past. It's undoubtable, and the fact that like none of them, not all of them, like pretty much most of them are not akin to American democracy or the Constitution. So ascribing to them the new Confederacy is more accurate than I think a lot of people would accept at
Yeah.
first. Because I mean, you're right. It is like the new Confederacy.
Yeah. I think we just stumbled on to the title of my essay next week, or at least
Yeah,
one of my essays. I'm going to do two essays. I'm going to do
there you go.
an essay on why Kamala lost, and then an essay on. I mean, we'll see if it divides into a second essay, but it might be the same essay of we need to clean house in the DNC, and then maybe an essay on the alt right, or
Right.
what we would call the alt right,
Yeah,
but what America should come to call the new Confederacy.
we could see. I mean, maybe there's a chance. Maybe you could see if you can.
Get it reacted to by other channels.
Not only that, I was thinking propose it to journal like journalist papers, websites and whatnot, like to be published as
Well, once I make
articles.
it. Well, once I make it, I think I have to make it first. Nobody
Right,
cares. Nobody,
even
you know what I mean?
like even proposing drafts in a an effort to get like one of them published
Hmm.
and see if it can take you somewhere, like maybe like somewhere in the Intercept or Jacobin or Common
Yeah.
Dreams or fucking like Go Bold and go like Newsweek or something like that. Maybe maybe like fucking uh name another leftist rag, you know. Uh worth a shot. I mean, because like I just transcribing your videos that that are on your channel so far, transcribing them would make good articles
Yeah,
for
well, I think I'm gonna put them into a book one day.
yeah, something like
I
that.
mean, they could because you can read faster than you can listen. So for people
Sure,
who prefer to read, I prefer to watch things and listen to things. But
same.
some people prefer to read things, and because you can read, you can read quicker and digest information quicker.
Hmm.
But that's yeah, man, it's an interesting idea. Once I get the essays done, then I'll do it.
Right.
It's tough though. I feel like maybe we can always kind of circle back and finish off with some talk about what it's like to be a YouTuber trying to make it in this space. Um,
Yeah.
I don't want this to like I taken a lot of pride in our channel in that we're not just sitting around and talking about politics and oh everything's fucked and oh it's so funny. It's like we are legitimately bothered by what's going on, and I don't want to speak for you, Stat Pat, but I'm arrogant enough to think I can do something about it. That's maybe where I'm
Honestly,
a little bit different from YouTube channels. Is like all these other YouTube channels, like, oh, I'm a joke. I'm on YouTube. I'm like, that's not the attitude of a winner. I've
I
got less than
could
300
not.
subscribers, but I feel like we can make a difference with this shit.
That's exact. Like I have been ruminating about this shit for fucking days now, and I could not agree more. Like for fuck's sake, like I am arrogant enough to believe that I can fucking make a difference. Like I've been just for lack of a better term, daydreaming about what if I became a really prominent House member. You know, what
Yeah.
if I actually fucking made it? What if I actually made a run for office and whatnot? What would that entail? What would I have to come up against? What kind of questions would I be asked? How would I answer them and shit? It's like I like it's something like I have been driven to make a fucking difference. It's why I'm not like so ready to give up on my fucking YouTube channel, even though I don't think it's like the best for my mental health. But like at the same time, I think I can reach people and convince people of like what I believe in. You know, I think like I can speak to a whole lot of people who feel the exact same way that I do, or convey something in a way that convey what I believe in a way that people didn't think about themselves. You know, that the like, people that don't think the same way that I do and could maybe find value in it. That would mean a lot to me. Like if I'm able to reach like anybody who fucking believes what I believe or believes what you believe, it could go a long way. Like why give up on
Yeah.
that?
Right.
Yeah,
No, it's just defeated. It's a loser attitude. It's the
yeah,
cultural shift that we're talking about,
yeah. Like
and we need to start.
defeatism is easy. That's
Yeah.
why like it's disgusting seeing some left fucking personalities, accounts, channels, what have you, take that route, you know, and just fucking make everything about cynicism and just
Right.
fucking just compulsive contrarianism whenever something good happens and shit. It's just like fucking just delete your fucking shit. Just get off the fucking internet. Why are you
Joe
even
Rogan.
here?
Joe Rogan really popularized contrarianism
Yeah,
and almost like political fluidity, where he was a Bernie guy 1 minute and then in the next minute he's a Trump supporter. Like, what are you doing, man?
mm-hmm.
I mean, he talks about self edification and like being better at life, and I think he was a really positive influence on a lot of people for a really long time. But he never, like, he used to say he's not as smart as Chris D'Elia or what's her name, Whitney Cummings,
Mm-hmm.
and so he has to work harder at his stand-up comedy. And my response to that is no. You may not be as smart as them, but the reason why it might appear to be easier for them is because they are educated,
Mm-hmm.
and you are not. They went
Right.
to school. They absorbed a good chunk of established knowledge, and you didn't. And that's why he comes up with a lot of like logical fallacies. Like he's able
Yeah.
to identify a lot of logical fallacies intuitively, but he's never studied them.
Right. No, exactly.
He's never studied. He doesn't know what all of them are. There's like
Yeah.
17 of them.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I remember like 'cause I liked his stand-up specials, like the ones that he
Yeah, he's
released like
great.
over
He was.
from over a decade ago. But he had a few of them. I watched them. Apparently, he put like a brand new one out not too long ago this year. And according to everybody that I you know follow passively or whatever, it's fucking awful.
Yeah.
Like he's completely lost the plot. And I mean, I haven't really even watched a Joe Rogan episode in maybe a couple of years. I mean, I used to watch him a whole lot more, especially given the people that he's had on and whatnot. But like, he just hasn't really had anybody on that I really give half a fuck about. I love his episodes with Maynard James Keenan. I watched his one with James Hetfield. I watched his one with Neil deGrasse Tyson. His first one that he did with Elon Musk. A whole handful of them, and like I found them like really interesting conversations and shit. It's just like, but it's like Kyle Kalinske has said, like he's too enshrined in like the MAGA bubble and whatnot, and
Right.
surround himself like his friend group is like Trump sycophants and shit. It's just unfortunate, honestly. But
You got any chats? You got any chats you want to read out?
no, but I'm getting a few more people in here. I was sitting at 3, now I'm at 6. But if you're watching,
I've
make
been
sure you
I've
guys.
been I've been at 0 the whole fucking
Oh,
time.
it's awful.
I had like one or two at one point, but I've been dry, dude. Yesterday,
Yeah,
I had 50. I
I
had 50
saw.
at one point
It was
yesterday, dude.
it was
The
fluctuating.
algorithm was loving me. I was like, this is amazing. I'm gonna keep going until
Right.
I get back down to single digits, and I did.
Yeah, I saw. It was like
I got like 8 subscribers out of it. I wish I had gotten more, obviously, but
yeah,
I found out, dude, 78% of my audience isn't subscribed.
insane. Honestly, it kept on fluctuating for me on my end because I saw the chat and whatnot like between like mid 20s to 40. It just
Yeah.
kept on like going back and forth and back
I
and
know, it was
forth and
crazy. I
whatnot.
was like, I don't know what happened here, but
Like what the fuck?
Wednesday at 4:30 Pacific is like the sweet spot. We got to make sure we try
Maybe,
to. I'll be getting
possibly.
back on. I'll be getting back on there next. I'll be getting back from the green screen studio, so I'll be able to do it.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we can wrap it up if you want. We've
Sure.
been going for about an hour 15, but
Yeah.
all
That,
sorts of good stuff. Trump's cabinet's crazy, and we need to
it's
change the
crazier.
culture of the DNC, and we need
It's
to
like
figure out how to get a united front.
yeah.
We need to figure out how to get a united front because
I saw
I don't know.
I saw a Simpsons meme. It's the one where Homer goes up to Bart after Bart says this is the worst blah blah so far. Uh, it's Bart saying this is the worst Trump cabinet pick, and then Homer comes up and says worst cabinet pick so far.
Right.
It's like there's still some shitty picks to come for sure. I don't doubt with all whatsoever. Um, I'll end on this, I guess, for anybody watching, and thank you for watching, by the way. It's going to get really rough, especially economically. A recession is pretty much inevitable. It's pretty much imminent. You should see it like the first part of 2025, and it's probably going to last a while. But it really depends on how the Trump administration reacts to it. If he deports 1 million people plus, like if mass deportations start going through, if he does go through with the economic tariffs and whatnot, that only increases our likelihood of going into a depression because 2023, I believe, I think it might be this year, but we're as a government we are spending more than we are bringing in via tax revenue. So if Trump's economic policies actually get enacted, like on top of all that I just mentioned, tax cuts as well,
Yeah, we're gonna be
cutting off
defaulting on our debt. We're gonna default on our debt.
maybe. Well, it depends on
Yeah,
if
I wouldn't put it past him.
no,
Would
of
you put it?
course I would not put
He'd
it
be like,
past him.
yeah, we'll just default, whatever.
Well, the purse ultimately does belong to Congress, so it depends on if everything gets through. So, like, I mean, maybe not. At this fucking point, anything is possible. Donald Trump is going to fucking become the president again for crying out loud. Um, but it depending on what kind of policies he puts through, depending on how he reacts to the upcoming recession, it may put us into a multi-year long depression. It may not.
Right.
But that that remains to be seen. But basically, all signs are pointing to, and they have been for the past 3 months, regardless of who is going to win, that a recession is imminent. So inflation is going to go way back up, even though it's down to like 2.6% right now. And it's going to get real rough, especially if you are among the lowest of income earners, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Get ready to file for bankruptcy. All right.
Yeah.
It only takes 7 years. All
Yeah.
right. So anyway, thank you, Stat Pat, for wrapping us up there. For
Sure.
Pat, Stateless Patriot, I am Dieter McBusiness. This is Left Coast Live. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We will see you next Tuesday around 6:30 Pacific.
Yeah.
All right. See you then, guys. Take care.
Have a great week.
And
Thank